here are those brake drum forges I told you guys I'd get pictures to you. I decided to do a video. It'll save on having to do a lot of explaining. Okay, these measure 18 by 24 with a notch cut out for long stock. That can be done many different ways. These are adjustable. They can drop in, keep the coal in if need be. Brake drum is a 10-inch brake drum with a $25 Turi plate or Turi grill made by Centaur Forge. You can pick them up at Centaur Forge for 25 bucks. So the only thing I bought for this was that Turi grill. These have 2-inch sides. It has 2-inch round tubing for legs, gusseted at the base, or up at the top there for support, with little feet on the bottom. Great little forge. The kids were working on them this last weekend without much of a problem. The only thing I'd change on these is I'd go 24 by 24 minimum. The 18 by 24 seems a little small. The 2-inch sides are a little low. I'd go 3-inch sides on a forge. So if I was to redo this one, I'd go 24 by 24 with 3-inch sides. The air supply, you could mount a fan there at the base of the Turi, but the air supply that I'm using is a central heating and air fan, and they are real cheap to pick up. Most heating and air specialists will just give them to you. Saves them having to take them to the dump. The air line I'm using to the Turi is just RV 3-inch sewer line. Just go with the cheap stuff. I think it lasts just about as long as the long-term sewer line. Easily repaired. If you get a hole in it, you can just patch it with duct tape. Very easy. They're less than 10 bucks to buy for 20 feet. These were cut into two for two 10-foot chunks. To control the air supply, I built air gates. Again, you can buy pre-made air gates at Centaur Forge, but these air gates were not that bad to build. If you've got some welding skills, they're pretty easy to build. The pipe is little less than 3-inch on the OD, and the sewer line fits right over and slides on. I've found no need to have to clamp the hose on yet. So this is your brake drum forge. Real basic, real cheap. Right around, with my time, probably about $100 to build. If you had to buy the materials, probably about $100. Probably about $100 to build if you don't count in your labor. Takes about a day to build one of these. The hearth is all out of one piece. You notice here, I'll get a better shot on the shop forge in there on the hearth on how it was put together. But that's basic brake drum forge. This is the modified 18 by 24. It's been modified to a 24 by 24. A little on the ugly side, but it works very well. It gives a good heart, good coal bed. I decided to change it to a 24 by 24 because the kids were having a little bit of trouble keeping the coal inside the forges. This just gives them a little more hearth space to convert their coal to coke. Especially with the 10-inch brake drum. Now the 18 by 24 might work for a rivet forge, but I'd probably go with a little bit smaller fire pot. If you could find a smaller brake drum, I think it would be a lot better. I'm finding that with the 10-inch brake drum, it puts out a pretty good size heart, so you kind of need to have a little bit more space around the outside to be able to convert your coal to coke. And I added 3-inch sides on this one where I could. Again, it's a little on the ugly side. It has a slide dump gate, a slide gate for dumping out the clinkers. Here I would also recommend going with a dump gate. Slide gates are a little bit easier to build, but the dump gates are a lot nicer and more user-friendly. It's a 2-inch pipe that I used, that I made the Turi out of. Works really well. If I was to do that again, I might move it up to a 3-inch, but then again, you're kind of limited to buy whatever your hub hole is on your brake drum. And a 2-inch pipe just fit perfectly inside. So I went with 2-inch, and then I spaced it up to the larger side to accommodate the 3-inch air tube. Again, real cost effective. You have to buy the metal. You're probably even buying the flat 3/16 metal that's built out of. It's all one. This one isn't, but you can build the hearth out of one piece, and I'll show that on the main shop forge. It real easy to do and real cost effective. Like again, I said, probably about $100 to build one of these. Less than $200 for sure, if you don't count your time. Now to the granddaddy. This is the last one I built. I wanted a bigger forge in here for my main forge. This is a commercial measurements. It's 24 by 30 with a through notch cut out a lot more cleanly than the other ones. Like I said, this is the last one, so all the modifications and changes I said I'd do on the other ones, I did on this one. It's 24 by 30 with 3-inch sides. This one has a commercial 12-inch round fire pot with a clinker breaker. It has room to put a 3.5 coke pot in, or even the 9x12 or 9x14 square coal pot, fire pots. Just have to change the hole in the deck. I have a circle cutter for my oxyacetylene, so I've gone with the round. If this cracks, I'll probably move up to the 3.5 coke pot. The clinker breaker and all that I'll be able to reuse. It's replaceable. So it has the commercial fire pot and a commercial elbow that I just bought, and the clinker breaker that I bought. Works really nice. The dump gate I built, and it's real nice because they automatically close. You can just lift it up. You can push it open with the fire rake. It's weighted with a 2-inch ball. It needs to be weighted in order to close properly. This is the reason why I like the dump gates over the slide gate, is when you're forging and everything's all hot, you can stand back, open it with your fire rake, and it automatically dumps the clinkers, or you push it open to dump the clinkers, and it'll automatically close for you. So really a nice system. I do recommend going with a dump gate rather than a slide gate. They're not too hard to build. As you can see, the commercial pot had a place to drill a hole through, and I mounted a bolt on there. You can kind of play with that for whatever works with your design. This one's probably a little overbuilt than you need. The deck is like the others out of 3/16. You could probably get away with 1/8-inch metal. It'd be easier to bend. The way I made the box was I left 1 inch at each end, and in the middle and at the other end, cut it with the torch, cut out corners of the square, and bent it to make a box. I got the idea online. It's just standard way you'd make a box in metal, and then I just welded up all the cut areas. Legs are out of 2-inch square tubing, 1/4 inch thick. Again there, that's probably a little overkill. They are gusseted up at the base of the hearth with some triangle gussets. Again, probably not needed, but I just overkilled it. It's a little on the heavy side, but it's real stable. The power supply is just a switch that operates the outlets. So I plug in the fan and I can turn it on and off. I can unplug the fan and I can use that outlet by turning the switch on, and I can plug in a grinder or anything else that I want. It has a side draft on it. This style of side draft works really well. I had to move it a little farther forward than I was hoping. It sits right at the edge of the fire pot, but it drafts really well. If it slides all the way back, it tends to smoke into the shop a little bit. The damper on it is adjustable, so if you've got a big piece you're putting under there, you can raise it up, or you can drop it down to make it draw a little bit better. I mounted a little heating shelf for melting my beeswax, and I added a shelf for just miscellaneous items. You could also add a tong racks around the outside if you choose to do so. I have a tong rack right next to it, so I didn't feel a need for a tong rack on the actual forge. But adding tong racks around there would be very, very easy to do. This one here, I probably have less than $400 into building this. Again, very cost effective considering that the same setup with a hood, commercially built, you're looking at about $700 to $800. So this cost me about $300 to $400 to build, plus my time, and it works very well. Within 5 minutes of starting it, I can be working on the anvil. Provided I have coke stockpiled from the night before, it starts up very quickly, and I can start working almost immediately. So it's very, very efficient, works very well, puts out a very good heart in the fire. Very pleased with its operations for right now. Alright guys, keep pounding it like a smith.